Hello and welcome to yet another Let's Talk Idol, a review of, in this case, Crusaders of the Lost Idols. Now this has been one of the bigger idol games on Congregate recently, I'd say. And this is an idle game with a great idea put to great work. And the idea of this idle game is formations. Basically, you buy heroes with gold and then put those heroes into formations, and in this formation the hero then automatically attacks whatever monster there is. And there's also a single hero, the very first one, that allows you to click stuff. But I don't have him in my formation right now. And this is also one of those things to note right away. Heroes that are not in your formation don't actually do anything. And there's a lot of upgrades and skills that not only just make your hero more powerful, but also have a specific effect on how you want to build your formation. Maybe in some ways you want to, for example, this guy gives buffs to like everyone around him, and this guy, yeah, he gives buffs to everyone behind him, and this other guy gives buffs to whatever's in front of him, stuff like that. And this is one of those great things right away, that just being able to build all of these crazy formations with all of your trying to stack skills, trying to make certain heroes more powerful, trying to like make an entire formation based around getting gold, an entire formation based around this one hero getting buffed a lot, or just having everyone being powerful, or just having a lot of click damage at once, already adds a ton of depth to this game that otherwise you wouldn't have in an idle game. Now, the overall structure of this game is basically there's a map with, well, a great map, and the great map has like many different sections, and each section has like 5 levels, and the 5th level is always a boss level. And the thing about a boss level is that it has, well, as the name says, a boss in it, and if you kill a boss the very first time in ever actually, you'll get a chest. Now if you've beaten the boss and then at a later point you reset the game to come back to this boss, it doesn't guaranteed drop a chest, but it still has a chance to drop a chest. So it makes it so that first killing a boss for the very first time in your entire life is pretty nice, and kills you do after that are not as good, but they can still be good on a chance, which I think is nice. And chests, they're basically like, currently there's multiple types of chests, but the base types are like just the normal type, and then there's like a gold chest. And each chest has like some cards, and cards can be anything. They can be gold, they can be like here a trinket, they can also be items or temporary boosts. Now trinkets are just these, well, they're like sort of items. They're not quite items, there's other stuff that's items, but anyway, I'll just call these items as well. You can gather these and they all give you specific bonuses, and they're stackable with each item. And there's also items you get from these which are for a specific hero. For example, this pure blood crystal is only for like this emo werewolf, you know, Edward, and it increases like his DPS or something. And if you get an item for the hero that is either worse or the same, then the item gets automatically disenchanted, which basically just gives you more DPS. Also, something to note is that the longer a hero is part of your formation, the more experience points he gets. So basically experience points just makes him more powerful. So you've got this, I don't know, it's a bit weird to have this incentive to have heroes in your formation for a long period of time, because while there is some sort of, well, reward for you playing the game with this formation, or at least with this hero in your formation for quite a while, at the same time I feel like it disincentivizes to actually put other heroes in your formation. Like for example, if I wanted to put this guy away and like put King Reginald in there, for example, this guy doesn't have any experience, so now my entire damage is really bad, which is kind of weird. So I'd have to have him in my party for like really long for him to actually make up the experience at least. But that's not too bad. I mean, you don't after you've actually unlocked all the heroes, you don't really switch around your formation for too much, I'd say. But you can make some few tweaks, and the tweaks don't actually, well, they won't matter that much with experience. And also something nice to know is you can actually save your formations and then switch between them. And this is also a really nice thing that if you have like information for gold, information for damage, information for click damage, for example, you can like, easily switch between them. And also you can see up here where it says your just regular DPS or your click damage, crit chance, how everything of that changes, so you know which formation is good for what. And also, like I said earlier, with the cards from the chest, they also give temporary bonuses, like up here. Basically, these bonuses, they aren't used right away when you get them. You get them as like these sort of items up here, and then you can use them whenever you want to. Now, to actually progress levels, you have to do a certain quest. Now, whatever that quest is can be a wide variety of things. At least that's what it looks like up here. It's really only just two things, either kill enough of certain enemy or gather an item, or multiple of these items. It's not really anything you have to worry about when you play the game, it's rather just you have to stay on this level for this long and then you can move on. I guess it's a little bit better than just saying on every single level you have to kill 10 enemies and then move on. There adds a little bit of variety to at least the visual playstyle, and if you would say something like this exists in the story of the game. But, you know, it's a nice little thing that's in there, but it doesn't really change too much. Also, this game, like pretty much any idle game, also obviously has achievements. And these achievements also give you more bonus percentage damage. I do have to say, it's a bit weird to scroll around through all your achievements, and you can press like shift control or something to make it scroll faster. But it's still a bit odd to actually having to scroll through all of these achievements. But then again, the way this whole interface is set up, there's not really a whole lot of space to put more stuff. So, I don't know, if this was like something you would scroll down, it would still be a bit too like clumped up and stuff. But I don't know, at least it does its job fairly well. Also something to note is there's quests that you get daily. Get one quest daily when you log into the game. And these quests is like really weird stuff, like, okay, now this is the type of stuff where you actually have variety. It could be stuff like clicking, leveling a certain hero a bunch, getting to further stages can be a quest, or just using a certain skill can also be a quest. And I guess this also gets me to my next point, is that there's actually skills in this game that you unlock by, well, having a hero that has a skill and then leveling that hero up to a certain point where you get that ability and buy that ability. And also something to note is the hero has to be in your formation to actually be able to use the skill. So if I want to use like this guy's things, like this guy always reminds me of whose taxes they are, and he has a skill, Simba Spry, blah blah, put him in there, do that, and then I can just switch back. And that's that. So there's some abilities that are like usable only once, like for example this ability like increases your DPS. Whenever this ability becomes ready, you just put the guy who has it into your formation, use it, maybe even use Magnify to make it more powerful, and that's about it. Then you can swap him back out again. So you can also like always swap out heroes whenever you want to like use different abilities, and that's always nice. Now back to quests. The quests, when you do them, they give you rubies. Yay. What do rubies do? Rubies allow you to buy more treasure chests, which is great. And these treasure chests will always be golden. And as you can already see, you can also buy more treasure chests with real money. It says creds, but creds are like the congregate real money, like currency. There's also something to notice. There's also just recently added some special events that can happen, and these events can have really different things. For example, right now we have Emo's New Moon, which I haven't actually really been into that much. I'm definitely gonna get into it later after this. But the thing is, these events are gonna change a lot, so I can't really tell you about all of these events that are gonna happen because that's gonna take a while. I think it's really just great to like get into it and then look for yourself what all these events do. Now, back to some other stuff. I've also hovered over this earlier. It's like just some stats that you get, which is really I like having stats. I like being able to look through stuff and be like, oh, I've played this game for 74 days. Yay. But actually, since last reset was 48 days, and actually I've had a break after 3 days, so I know that I haven't played for like 45 days before making this video. I know, whatever. And yes. Anyway. Also something to note is click damage. Now I haven't really tried to maximize my click damage because you really need a specific formation for that, because he has this really weird ability where other people around him make the clicks more powerful. And there's also special heroes that have a spell, or not a spell, like an ability that you can unlock that makes them even more powerful together with the swordplay ability from the Bushwhacker, which is the clicker. So you have to like really build this formation around the Bushwhacker, the clicker, and then you have to like click all the time to actually make it worth it. But the thing is, I feel like clicking is inherently a little bit worse than just having damage, because as you will notice, clicks do absolutely nothing if there's not actually any monster actually currently clickable. Monsters have to get past a certain point for them to be in range of damage, and before that you can't do anything to them. And let's say you have a lot of click damage and you kill them all with like 2 clicks. Then stuff like this still happens, where you click a lot and 90% of your clicks don't actually do anything. And then you also have the other situations where the monsters don't die quickly and you have to repeatedly click to actually keep up with the monsters. And if you stop clicking, your guys are gonna die. Which just gets me to my next point. The guys can actually die if a monster makes it towards them and they get to like in melee range. The very first guy in your formation will actually take damage from the monster and you guys slowly go down in health. And if you have multiple, like for example the first 3 guys die and then a monster comes, and they'll run into this wall with like Panda, Witch Doctor and this Knight guy. And they also then like spread out and attack multiple guys at once, and then there's also some abilities that make it more likely for some enemies to attack other heroes if they're in the same row, blah blah blah, all this stuff. But really, it's not that important. For once, if anyone dies, you can just switch to a different area and then everyone will be alive again, and you can just switch back and still everyone's still alive. So it's really just this mechanic to make you stop running into walls where you can't really kill any monsters and you just sit there waiting for monsters to die. No, in that case your guys will actually die and you'll have to go to a level where you can actually kill everyone. Now, about these skills that I've talked about earlier, I don't really find myself using them that much. For one, I don't really feel like they're that useful other than boss levels. On boss levels they can be really useful. For example, you can say like, if the mobs and the monster actually reach your guy, you can like do this one which like heals all your characters, which is really nice. Or you can do this like firestorm which damages everyone on screen, but you couldn't see it because I killed everyone. So that's something that I feel like maybe on bosses you can use all your different strats for like clicking, for doing all that weird stuff that you want to do, for using all your skills, for using special like tanking formations and everything. And that's really nice. But apart from that, just pick a formation that does a lot of damage like passively and you're just good to go, and you can just leave him hanging around. Now, something that I do have to say is that this game, especially a few updates back, was rather similar in how it works to clicker heroes, and it still does a little bit with all these heroes that you have that you level up, and you also have all the heroes have something that after level 200, every 25 level their power is multiplied by 4, and then you have all these skills that are unlocked and these combos between the skills. You have cooldown reduction and all of those things which are really reminiscent of clicker heroes, like really quite a lot. And also that your very first is the only clicker guy you have. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing it has similarities to clicker heroes. I mean, clicker heroes is a really good one, but it is something to keep in mind. But that doesn't mean that this game, I've talked about so many of these things that this game has right now, and it's very obvious that there's so much in this game that isn't clicker heroes. So, if I were to say, if you wanted to go that way, you could say something like it's a very different clicker heroes 2, but that still I think wouldn't do it justice. But I think I still had to mention that because it was still very apparent when this game first came out that it was a lot like clicker heroes. But especially with these events that has been going on, it managed to distance itself quite far from clicker heroes so far. But enough of that. to my actual verdict. This is a really nice game that starts out simple, but already gives you so much depth. And even in the late game, when the game actually slows down a bit, and at that point, even then, you have all these things you can do. And even though the actual game itself is rather passive, you don't use your skills that often, you don't actually change your formation that often once you've settled on a formation or you're not on a boss. Even though that's a lot of passive stuff, and you can just log out and come back, and that's a lot of the stuff you're going to be doing, I still like that this game is actually being updated very often. The last update was like 16 hours ago, and before that it was only like 2 weeks ago. So there's very frequent updates that do a lot of things, like updates, like daily quests were something that were added in an update, for example, which is really nice. And also there's the whole reset mechanics, as there always is. And when you reset, you also, as always, you get some item that makes you more powerful the more you have of it. For example, here the idols gives you more DPS and gold find and stuff. But more importantly, when you do a reset, I'm just going to do it for now. By the way, you get idols based on how many levels everyone has. So you want to level up your heroes as much as you can. So when you do a reset, you get this little statistic popping up. What did you get? What have you done? And also, something that is also really nice about this game is that between resets, you get to pick different challenges. And different challenges might have different formations. You see, this is the formation I had all this time, this sort of like triangle that points towards the right. But if you go to different worlds and different like challenges, you get different formations. Like for example, on this one I can't use the back row. On this world down here I have to have this weird diamond shape. And on this one down here I have this sweep shape and stuff like that. Which also between resets makes you have like different strategies depending on what sort of challenge you do. And if you beat a challenge, you get even more rubies for more chests, which are nice. Sadly, chests are like a one-time thing, so you don't get anything permanent other than the idols you get from it, but that's still a really nice incentive. And also you have stuff like here where you have the events, which also have a lot of new stuff with like new Crusaders, equipments, it's all that weird, all this nice stuff that happens. So I think this is a really nice game to just check out, see what happens, and just play for quite a while. Maybe like say, oh, maybe I don't want it anymore. Like, make a little break for like 2 weeks, come back later, suddenly there's a new update, stuff has changed, there's new stuff. So this is gonna be one of those games that can keep you for quite a while. But there might be some people that might be a little bit turned off by how passive the actual game style is. But then again, you could just change your formations to like go into a clicker game, for example, or focus more on skills. So I think that's something really nice about this game as well. So definitely go check it out, it's linked in the description. This has been a review of Crusaders of the Lost Idols. Hope you see you again next time. Goodbye.